Coming up next, I'll be talking to Detective Jimmy Render and getting an inside look into the LAPD. It's an interview you don't want to miss. Stay tuned for that only on CU at USC. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight for this edition of CU at USC. I am your host, Rachel Scott, and I am so pleased to be joined by LAPD Detective Jimmy Render. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight.
It is truly my pleasure, and I'm glad that I can be here, and I think this is a great opportunity for me to shed some light on one of the greatest police departments in the nation, that being Los Angeles Police Department.
And we appreciate your service. I want to talk a little bit, before we get into student safety, about you and your commitment to law enforcement. 29 years you have been with the department. Did you ever think, growing up, that you would be a police officer?
No. Being a policeman was not my number one goal as a young child, and it was just by chance that I ended up joining the police department. I went to college on a football scholarship, and like most young athletes, you have this admiration of playing pro football. And then when that didn't happen, I thought perhaps that I would go to law school. And my reason for wanting to go to law school was because, I thought that there were some injustices that existed in society. And I must admit that all of my interaction with law enforcement was not very pleasing. And so I thought perhaps I would go to law school and become a defense attorney. That was my goal. and interesting, what happened was I ended up meeting a policeman, and it was in the Orange County area, and he told me about LAPD, and it was such a great interaction. And through that, I ended up applying for the police department. It was in November of '84 that I applied, and it was most certainly one of the best things that I've ever did in life.
And tomorrow is your anniversary.
Tomorrow will be my 29th anniversary. I joined the police department on April Fool's Day, April 1st, 1985.
Well, an easy date to remember.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Absolutely.
How many different areas in Los Angeles have you worked in?
I pretty much covered, LAPD is comprised of 4 bureaus. We have Valley Bureau, West Bureau, South Bureau, and Central Bureau. And I've had the opportunity to work in each one of those bureaus. And each one of those bureaus, on an average, have anywhere between 4 to 5 different divisions that are assigned those particular areas. I started off working Hollywood Division as a probationary, which is a rookie officer. I was there for a year and a half. Through that, I was transferred to 77 Division, where I worked 77. That was in South Bureau. And I was there for 2 years, and then I left 77 and I went to narcotics. And I worked narcotics in undercover capacity in Central Bureau. And I did that, and then after leaving there, I transferred to West Bureau, and where I worked Wilshire, and that was a great job. And then I ended up leaving Wilshire, and I went to Metropolitan Division, which was certainly an outstanding division. Metropolitan Division was comprised of the Mounted Unit, K-9, SWAT officers, and then they have crime suppression details. And I was fortunate to work the Mounted Unit. And I had such a love for, working with horses, and I was raised with horses, and that was just a natural fit for me. And then after leaving Metropolitan Division, I was promoted to sergeant, where I'd worked Hollenbeck Division. And then after working as a sergeant for slightly over a year, then I transferred to Southwest Division, where I worked detective, and I worked a variety of tables while working at Southwest, burglaries, auto thefts, juvenile crimes, and then I transferred from there, and I went to the Valley, where I worked Foothill, where I had an opportunity to work homicide, which was a great job. And then through that, I worked out of the chief's office, which was inspection control, where I was an auditor. And through that, you were able to look at the department from a global perspective, which was a great job, and it really enhanced my writing ability, which was a great learning experience. And then I transferred slightly after that to Southwest, promoted as a Detective 3, and now I'm currently at South Traffic as a Detective 3.
And moving through all these different units, I'm sure it's really hard for some people to adjust. Did you find that hard, and with moving to different units and different areas, different types of people that you were dealing with?
Well, I think change is good. Through change, you're able to learn new things, and by having the change, it enhanced my perspective of the organization. And through change, you were able to meet a whole different officers, and I think I was able to broaden my career, and it gave me a better perspective of the police department. And I think it was great. So I'm certainly one who advocates change.
And speaking of change, you've seen the community around you change so much. Do you feel like the relationship with the community and LAPD has gotten better throughout time?
Yes, and I must admit, not only has it improved, but it continues to improve. When you establish partnership, LAPD, we cannot have the successful numbers of the reduction of crimes had it not been for the partnership of the community. And I think it takes a collaborative approach between the community, institutions like USC, in order to reduce the overall crime. And it's very important, and I think today those relationships are much more stronger, the bond. And I enjoy the fact that when we're driving into the inner cities, we have young kids that are waving at the police department, waving at police officers, and the interaction is, it's much better than it was when I first joined the police department. And I think that's one of the reasons why I joined, was to enhance the relationship. Because I recall when I was a child, that relationship was not so good, growing up in the LA County area, and then my interaction with the sheriffs as a child was not very pleasant. And as a policeman, I wanted to do something different than that, and so I enjoyed the interaction that we have with the community.
How much have you grown as a person through your 29 years with the department?
Quite a bit. I would have to say that through my maturity, the experience and the things that I've learned has helped me not only within the organization, but also within my personal life. I'm able to see things a lot different now, having done this job for 29 years. And it has certainly been a positive approach. I love what I do. I love the interaction with people. I strongly recommend this as a career. And throughout my daily activities, I'm always encouraging individuals to apply for the police department, because this is clearly one of the better jobs that I think in society.
Are there any moments that you've had in your 29 years that have been really touching and rewarding for you personally, moments that you still remember to this day?
The rewarding moments are when I have a case that's very difficult to solve, and then when we solve that case and we're able to bring justice for the family, for society, those are quite rewarding moments.
Yeah.
And those cases like that is when I get quite a bit of joy.
And being a police officer, a lot of people don't realize you're always on duty. They really never go off duty. Was that something hard to adjust to when you initially started in the force?
It was slightly challenging, but for the most part, I enjoyed it, because it was something that I signed up to do, and I recognized that that was part of what comes with the being within the profession. Currently, in my current assignment, I'm on call 24/7, so I have to make adjustments for that, and I welcome that, because I'm able to give back to society. I feel that I'm making a difference, and I look at my career, and it has gone by so quickly, and I see that in another 24 months, it'd be history. It'd be done. I'll be retiring, and it's going to be hard for me to leave my current position, because it has clearly been very rewarding for me. The interactions with the community, the interaction with my coworkers, just doing, every day I come to work, there's something new, something different to do, and I look forward to coming to work every day.
Yeah. And being here for so long, you've let quite a legacy in the community. What are you hoping that your legacy is once you leave the department?
When I leave the department, I want my legacy to be one that was recognized for helping others, both within the organization and helping people within the community. I want that to be my legacy because in the end, it's not about all the promotions. It's not about things such as those, but it's what have you done to help your fellow man. And I think that's the most important thing.
How does the department confront challenges? There's been so many challenges throughout LAPD's history, even with the community, and we've come such a long way, even from the riots until now. How has, in your experience, how has LAPD overcame challenges that it's faced within the community?
Well, one of the things I think that our police department and our organization has been very good at, when they're confronted with challenges, they learn from those mistakes, and through that, we improve so we won't make those same type of incidents that we had that were in an adverse manner. And I think in any times there are challenges, you draw back on those things that created those challenges and you try to learn from those. And I think that's the key. And I also adapt that same approach in my personal life and in my professional life. You try to learn from those and you try to correct whatever deficiencies that existed to create those challenges, and through that you're able to come up with a positive solution.
Right. Now I want to transition a little bit and talk about USC here on campus. What is your relationship, LAPD's relationship, with DPS, with the surrounding community, and with students?
Our relationship is very positive. Typically what happens whenever there's an incident that involves USC, we have a partnership and there's a bond between DPS and the police department. That bond has existed for many years, and I must admit, I became a detective in 1994 at Southwest Division, and SC is housed in Southwest Community. And while working burglaries, I worked partnership with the DPS on solving crimes that existed in and around the campus. Currently, whenever there's a crime that deals with a traffic matter, hit and runs, wherever the case may be, we work in concert with DPS. We've had quite a bit of success while working within that partnership. I can recall a case that existed in March of 2009. I believe it was March 29th. At about 3 p.m., there was two students that were hit by a hit and run motorist on Jefferson and Hoover. But it was through the efforts of USC and our partnership that we were able to capture that individual, and that individual subsequently was arrested and was currently serving time as a result of that.
Is it ever hard balancing the safety of the students with the safety of the surrounding community? We've seen quite a lot on campus that sometimes the surrounding community and students are bumping heads a little bit. Is that ever hard for LAPD to sort of balance between the two?
You know what? I don't look at that as being posed as a challenge. And I like to think, and I believe we do, each area has a SLO, which is a senior leading officer, and that officer is, works within the surrounding area, and of course through community watch meetings and through that interaction, they're able to cover the grounds of meeting the needs of the community members as well as meeting the needs of the students that exist within the community.
And what do you hope students take away? A lot of students feel intimidated sometimes to talk to police officers because of the surrounding community. A lot of students are scared. What would you say to those students in terms of taking the proper safety precautions, and if they see something, alerting the police?
Well, I would strongly encourage the students to get involved. As I indicated previously, that we cannot be successful in doing our job without the help of the community as well as the students. When they see a crime that occur, they need to take the initiative to notify the proper authorities of what they witnessed or what they observed. And there's so many opportunities where they can do it. They can do it through, we have an anonymous line where they can do it through texting. They can come through DPS. But in order for us to be successful and to have the reduction of crime, And to secure the community, it takes a collaborative approach between all involved parties, including witnesses, including students, and it's very important that they take that proactive approach to getting involved.
How important is it for other students to be aware of the crimes that are occurring around and near campus?
It's very important for the students to be aware of what goes on. And I think through the awareness, we're able to reduce crime. For example, if they're having a influx of bicycles that are being stolen or thefts that are occurring in the area, for those students to be aware to secure their properties and not leave their properties unattended. And I think that's important in terms of gaining the reductions that we need.
All right, when we come back, we're going to continue our discussion and get more in depth into the issues that you're concerned about here and around campus. Stay tuned for that. It's coming up only on CU at USC.
Can I say something? I didn't.
And this is Platform Culture. Be sure to watch it every Friday night at 5:30. Get cultured.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks. Visit us at stoptextstoprex.org.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at bedsider.org.
Hi, I'm Rachel Scott. Thank you so much for joining us back here at CU at USC. If you'd like to get in contact with us, go ahead and send us an email at cu@trojanvision.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at CUAT at USC, or you can like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/CU at USC. I want to return to our talk now with Detective Jimmy Render. Thank you so much for being here again.
It is truly my pleasure, and it has been an honor.
We really appreciate it. Now, I want to get back and talk a little about some of the issues that students are a little bit frustrated with on campus. A lot of students at USC get jaywalking tickets. It's a hot spot over there by Hoover. A lot of students often get jaywalking tickets. A lot of students don't really understand why they're getting ticketed. Can you explain a little about the importance of, staying on the sidewalk and walking when the crosswalk says to go?
Well, I'd like to add that jaywalkers, pose a major danger for their lives. And of course, when I look at our fatalities that we have had year to date, over 60% of those are generally as a result of jaywalkers, or pedestrians. And through educating the citizens or the population community, there's a push so that we can have a reduction of jaywalkers, because it's very dangerous. Oftentimes the motorists are unable to see them when they're crossing. Sometimes they're crossing and they have dark clothing on and it's nighttime. And I have been assigned to traffic division since 2007. And throughout my time that I've been assigned to traffic division, each year we have had a influx, a great number of pedestrians that have been struck by motorists, and a lot of those end in fatalities or serious injuries. And it's a result of individuals that are crossing against the don't walk sign, individuals that are crossing by jaywalking and things of that nature. So that's why it's very important that when students are crossing that they utilize the crosswalk.
Right. And you've been with the traffic divisions for so long. Have you seen an increase in the amount of distracted driving in Los Angeles, especially near USC, whether that be texting and driving, people talking on their cell phone while driving?
Well, I see it oftentimes, and that's another push, because oftentimes it only takes a second when someone is texting and then they're involved in a traffic accident, and it poses a great danger for themselves, individuals that are walking, that are crossing the street. And I also see distractive texting or using the phone while in the crosswalk. You know, just when we were driving here today, there was a student that was crossing in the crosswalk, and he had the phone to his ear and was not even aware of his surroundings in terms of motorists that were coming. And I think that when students are using their phones and they're walking, they should be aware of their surroundings. They're crossing the street, but they still should be aware. And it's a major problem. And that's one of the things that we are proactive about writing citations as a result of that. So my response to the students are not to be taking selfies, not to be texting while driving, and of course not to be utilizing the phone when you're in a crosswalk.
And that's a big thing that we're seeing a lot lately. You know, people taking selfies while driving with apps like Instagram and Twitter, Vine. You know, it takes 5 seconds, and a lot of students, even whether it be texting or taking a selfie, they think, oh, it's only 5 seconds. How fast could I really be going? You know, could I really hit someone in that amount of time? Can you sort of put that into perspective for students, what that 5 seconds or 10 seconds means when you're looking at your phone?
It takes less than 20 seconds for a car in front of them to stop abruptly, and next thing you know, you're texting, you're looking down, and you're in a major traffic collision. Whatever they're doing can wait. They can pull over to the side. The danger element of that is too vast for them to be operating a motor vehicle while texting. They're putting their lives in danger and the lives of others by texting, and it should not occur. And I think it's clearly can wait, and that's one of the things that we it's one of the approach that we're trying to do in terms of reducing those things from happening. Oftentimes when there's a traffic accident, one of the things that our investigators are doing, you know, at the conclusion of that traffic accident, we're looking at the phones to see whether or not someone was texting while they were driving, and that could be a cause for the traffic collision.
Right. And another huge issue is drinking and driving, obviously. I mean, around campus, we do have Campus Cruiser, and they can take you to location within, you know, a certain radius of campus. But what is your advice to students who maybe that are of age and have maybe 2 or 3 drinks and think that they're able to drive, even just right down the street back home?
My advice to them are not to drink and drive. Even if they have 1 drink, they should not be drinking and driving. You know, the danger element is too vast, and then you have to look at it from a larger scale. Here's a student here for education so that they can secure a great job down the line. And then you look at it, if they get stopped for a DUI, that can pose a major impact on them down the line for future occupations. So I think the risk is not good for them to be drinking and driving.
A lot of people think, you know, it'll never happen to me. That's what a lot of people say. Oh, that will never happen to me. I'll never get pulled over for a DUI. And I'm sure you've run into a lot of teenagers and young adults who have had their lives completely ruined by one night's mistake. Can you maybe share with us the regret that they sort of feel afterwards?
Oh, absolutely. It's interesting that you bring that up. I had dialogue with the individual 3 weeks ago who has expressed an interest of joining the police department. This individual was 23 years old, very sharp individual, graduated from college, and one of his concerns was that when he was in college, he had a DUI, and he was concerned whether or not that would impact him or his chances of joining the police department. And I don't know how it would play out for him, but it's not going to look very good. You know, when you have an opportunity to secure this type of job, then you have an individual who has a prior DUI, then you have another candidate who doesn't. You know, it's kind of hard pressed for you to give this one a higher score than the one that doesn't have a DUI. So my suggestion is, don't do it. It's not worth it. It will cost you in the long run when you have that arrest history on your package or your file because you were arrested for DUI. I think it's not a good decision to make to drink and drive.
As the years have continued on, you guys have had a lot more resources to really find out what happens when you guys aren't there. Surveillance is huge at USC. I know that we have cameras all over. How much do you guys rely on that surveillance, and how much do you guys work with DPS here on campus to look at those cameras?
Quite a bit. Whenever there's a traffic accident, particularly when there's a major traffic accident, as an investigator, the first thing that we do, we canvass the area for video images, witnesses, and things of that nature. And USC has been very helpful. We've utilized their cameras on several investigations in order to solve those cases. Not only do we use video images, but we also use, when I first joined the police department, you know, we didn't have some of the technology that we have with DNA, stuff like that, which is very helpful in terms of us identifying an individual that was responsible for a major traffic collision.
And, you know, we talk so much about your 29 years with the force. How do you see LAPD going moving forward? What direction do you think that LAPD will continue to go?
Well, throughout my 29 years, each year has been better than the next. You know, we participate in ComStat meetings, crime control meetings, and we do these things in order to improve our numbers. You know, our goal is to be better than the next year. You know, so there are a lot of things in place so that we can continually improve. And, you know, that is one of our mottos. You know, we have this mission to continuous improvement, and we're always trying to be a better organization, better entity, and I think we do a great job in it. And to answer your question, I think next year will be better than we are today, and then each year we'll continue to improve.
What is your advice for aspiring police officers who are going to follow in your footsteps and come after you?
I would tell them to stay clean, do not drink and drive, stay in school, work on writing, because 80% of what we do is writing, so it's very important to have the ability to be a good writer. In addition to that, to get involved in the community, because as a police officer, we're actually community servants, and we're here to serve the community.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us here today. It has been such a pleasure, and congratulations on 29 years of service.
Thank you. It has been my pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight on this edition of CU at USC. I'm Rachel Scott, and have a great night. That was great. Thank you so much again
Yes,
for doing this.
not a problem.
I'll be sure.